Da-da-da-dun, da-dun, da-dun. I Okay, keep the pace going, YM, because I always forgot this half of this thing is also podcast.
Right. Yeah. My podcast listeners, they just get to listen to us chit chat for a little bit at the beginning. It's fine. So thanks for tuning in to Stella Speaks and On the Cusp Tarot's production of Hex and the City, a podcast rewatching Sex and the City from a witchy and tarot lens. That's what we're doing. And we have some people here live with us on YouTube. So we'll be chit-chatting with the live people, trying as best to narrate as if someone was listening without reading or seeing. And today's episode is going to be about episode number 7 of season 1 of Sex and the City, The Monogamists.
Oh my God. Let's do this official. Welcome to Hex and the City.
Welcome.
Let's catch up. Okay, let's let the viewer and the listener know what happened. Why did we went on a hiatus?
The world fell apart.
Thank
I
you.
don't know if it was already kind of hanging by threads and duct tape.
Yep.
And then the world just fell apart.
Like you have one glimpse of hope. Like, oh yay! Like 1 week kind of turn around, right? You feel the energy going. You're like, yeah, it's turning around, and then you go, and then the bottom drop off, and all stuff are coming out, left and right, front and back, inside, outside, is all everywhere.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, if this year wasn't the year of the tower, at least our last few weeks have been the weeks of the tower. I'm good though now. I'm pretty good now.
I have to thank Miss Stella Speak over here for yanking my butt out of bed and kind of do something. Because the whole thing about what have happened so far in my personal life is literally like tower, right? Gung, gung, punch it. And then I'm nothing left. I'm crumble. Like all my bricks are on the floor, which is a good thing because now I can rebuild. I can like whatever stack, what didn't glue right, I'm going to put it back in, put the right glue, right? Put the right ingredient, make sure that everything is lining up slowly, little by little. But I'm like, I am exhausted. I am dying and I cannot get out. And then Stella was like, we are doing Hex in the City so that you get back on the routine.
The universe slapped me. So here's how it happened. I had been thinking like, oh, I need to get in touch with you. And then I was like, he's going through stuff. Well, give it another week. It's fine. It's fine. Then I was walking home and I got splashed with water while it was raining, like Sex in the City splash, like the beginning credits. And I was like, and I thought, I was like, oh, I just had a Carrie Bradshaw moment. And then I continue walking. It happens the second time. I'm like, what is this? It happened 3 times. 3 times. And I was like, that's why I texted you. I was like, why, when are we doing Hex in the City? The bus told me, well, actually 3 different SUVs told me that we needed to get back into it.
It's a good thing. I am, because I do feel like all my life I've been that Capricorn. I'm like, you know what? A little gap down there, and I'm gonna force it through, right? Force it through everything, every single traumatic event of my life, except for one that lasts for a very long time, which is a relationship problem. But everything else, regardless of anything except relationship, I was able to like, what do I need to do next? I need to do the paperwork. I need to call this person. I need to send in that check. I need to do that. Boom, boom, boom. And this time is kind of like, if I don't stop, like I feel like I will be that car that being total. Like I got into a
Right.
car accident, so that's why.
Yeah. So that's one of the ways that the tower fell, is that there was a deer that jumped out and attacked his car. Like it came out of nowhere, just jumped out, and
Like literally 1 hour prior to getting to my destination, after I've been driving for like whatever 6, 7, 9, 10 hours. But it's the thing. It's the thing. And then the other thing about this whole thing was like I was thinking, which is a good segue into what we need to
right.
go into. One funny thing. Should we do that? No, we should keep talking. One funny thing about spirituality, witchcraft, vibration, that realm of things, my realization with this episode of Car Crash and what has been happening on and on and on, I see the tower moment, I understand the tower moment, or I'm trying to understand the tower moments. And at the end, I was like, am I forcing meaning into event? Like Harry Bradshaw, right? Is she like not like Big is doing everything that he can do, and then Carrie is still like right,
Right.
right. But since we are going into Sex and the City, what have you been doing, girlfriend?
Oh my gosh. I'm doing a yoga training. I told you about that, right? So that's kind of been my big focus. I'm just really interested in learning specifically about trauma sensitive yoga, yoga for kids, and yoga for people in recovery from addiction. So like kind of researching different like practices related to that, and then just really getting and deepening into my own yoga practice too. And yeah, this is my year of like personal growth, and it's my year to be like, I can't. Like I also kind of pushed through a lot of things for a long time, and I had a lot of unhealthy coping mechanisms that kind of helped me force my way through things. And when I'm letting some of those things go to the side, then I'm kind of left with all of the noise that's in my head, and relationship changes, and yeah. So I've been going through kind of a lot too, but like not in such a external and dramatic kind of a way, just like trying to figure out what things look like now, after a career change, after a move, after a divorce, after like all these things that happened within the last 2 years. I'm finally kind of trying to like figure out, piece together like who am I? How do I want to approach the world? How do I want to use my gifts in a way that pays my bills and also uplifts humanity, and like trying to figure that out.
So
today,
go ahead.
And today it's talking about Sex and the City. That's the gift.
So you're more like inside out. Mine is like in the head so that I can go outside in.
Yeah.
So that's the tea, ladies and gentlemen. Drop it.
That's what we're doing. That's what we're up to.
It feels good to be like this. It feels good because I was like, I don't think I can put on like, oh my god, you guys, I'm bad, you guys.
It's terrible.
Oh my god, I don't think I was like, oh, but this is a good like ease into it because it is talking one of our favorite things,
right?
Like,
right.
I was. This is the other Freaky Friday moment. I was like, I need to cry. I need to cry. I need to cleanse. So I'm like, what am I going to watch? Sex and the City, the movie. I will watch. Number one, not number two. Number one, when I see her in Mexico, like dying, I'm like, I would cry. Perfect. And I was shuffling the cards I was like, because that's what I do, shuffle cards, watching the movie, and then a card fell out. And what that freaking card was, I texted Stella immediately. I'm like, the universe is funny. Because
this was too much.
It was too much. It was too much. And I was using this deck, the Spirit Animal Oracle. While all the animals can show up, it's the one I killed.
The deer card.
The deer spirit.
Deer card.
Like, I could not make this shit up.
I remember when I got that, I was like, it's like, shut up.
Banished.
That was out of control. I was like, that's too far. That's just taking it too far, universe, to be like, hey, remember that deer?
Like, I am like, what? I'm like, I couldn't. The funny thing is, it is the most perfect moment in a way, kind of like, I am like, am I forcing meaning into things? Am I, cultivating? I'm like, I need to cleanse. I'm like, why am I cleansing? I'm doing this. You are a vegetarian, right?
Mm-hmm.
I do not understand how you do it. I do not understand how you do it.
Yeah. Why are you trying it for a little minute?
Well, after all this unfortunate event happened, I'll show you the deer card right now. That freaking Bambi was like, hey, boop.
Remember me?
Hi, the one that I try to kill you or you try to kill me, doesn't matter. But that was a moment. We had a moment. Let's move on. Mother effer. I was just like, okay, so I talked to an Asian witch. Thank you so much, because I'm like, girlfriend, I need to talk to you. Unfortunate event has been happening. I don't understand it. I'm trying to put the meaning onto things. I'm trying to understand it, trying to learn the lesson, right?
Right.
I was like, is there bad energy around me? Because I understand lower vibration, negative thoughts attract negative thoughts. We all know that. So I was trying to cultivate, like, I need to higher vibration. I need to, be grateful and happy, right? But it's just so tough. And then she was like, maybe you should do a cleanse. She was like, this is the way that Asian witches would recommend. Do 7 times 7, which is 49 days. 7, because 7 is a prime number, right? Yeah. So it's magic number 7. 7 no meat.
So 7 weeks, 7 full weeks.
Yeah.
Monday to Sunday,
yeah. Right? Yeah, exactly. 49 days of no meat, so that you cleanse your aura, cleanse your energy, cleanse your body, and then you bless the four corner, and you write a petition to your favorite deity, which for me will be Guan Yin. Just kind of like negotiate, right? Say, thank you for your blessing. I'm willing to accept, blah, 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 like a contract, right? I'm doing this. This is my 6th day and I am dying.
Really?
Oh my God, I'm twitching. I'm like,
wow.
I am shaky. I don't have energy to even get out. I am constantly having headaches. And then I'm like, I don't know if it's because of the trauma of the car accident and my body recovering, right? Or am I literally detoxing so much that I'm like, ugh. But I talked to my mother and I'm like, I think I'm only doing 7 days. I'm not going to do 7 weeks. I'm doing
the whole 7, 7.
Yeah. So 7, and then just go easy on me. And then, but that's my spiel.
Do you keep everything else that you're eating like the same?
I cut caffeine. I haven't have coffee for the past.
That could give you headaches too, yeah.
But I am drinking pop because I do need some, like, I gotta go to work. I gotta my social media and stuff. Right. So I do drink some Diet Cola. So yeah, a lot of tea. So that's caffeine there, but not like
a little bit. Yeah, it's different than coffee though.
So.
Oh my gosh.
Anywho, so let's see who is in the room. We have our favorite fan, Miss Drew there.
What's up, Drew? Good to see you. Oh, here we go.
Oh,
Make
the
you meaning. Mm-hmm.
fifth dimension.
Drew says, with the eclipse season happening, I feel our world is drawing closer to the fifth dimension and our universe is shedding the negative and helping us all embrace a new way of being. Whew. Here's hoping there's some birthing pains, you
We
know?
feel it though. We feel it though. Like I feel like, well, I don't want to say for like for the whole world, but
Mhm.
and this sounds mean or kind of exclusive, but I do feel like I don't want to say the enlightened people because that's so like you are not enlightened because you know the other way. But you know what I'm saying? The more intuitive, maybe that should the more intuitive crowd, like the more you know feel the universe, feel the energy exchange. We do feel it. I do feel like a new dawn is coming. Lady Knight of Avalon, hello, hello.
Oh, yeah. Hector's here too.
Yeah, Hector, Abrata, Contreras, Miranda. And then I Kelly Sunflower. Hello, hello.
That's a cute little bit emoji. I like it.
Okay, shall we dive in? 15 minutes in. Let's do our favorite one card draw.
I'm gonna do the cat tarot again.
I don't have my deck with me.
Oh,
I don't have my
we're
mute.
mixing it up.
But you know what? 6 weeks,
Tarot,
maybe
you're doing something.
maybe the next 6 weeks I will use the new one. This is my new favorite the feminine type of deck.
Oh, that's pretty.
It's so pretty. It's so pretty. The edging.
Ooh,
It's pink. And then what do you see?
a vagina.
Thank you. Right?
That is a vulva right there. Yeah,
Yep.
for sure.
So I love, 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 love this deck. Okay, one card draw. If you haven't, you know, if you haven't, most of you have watched our episode already. So at the beginning of our thingy, we do a one card draw, and then we reflect on
Oh,
that.
I have a jumper. Oh, I have two jumpers.
Ooh, girl.
That's just because I was doing overhand shuffling, which I never do, but we're going to say there are no such thing as accidents. They're both swords. Oh my gosh. So this episode, the monogamous, this one, it's all about monogamy, fidelity. Are we together? Are we not together? What are the boundaries? Should we see other people? And that kind of pops up in all four of the people. Well, 3 out of 4 of the storylines, but they're all about boundaries. So I drew the 5 of Swords, which in the cat tarot is really interesting how these backs are turned. And then this kitty is like on her own over here, which reminds me of the beginning where Carrie's kind of off in her own little world with Big and her friend. There's kind of that separation and distance between the friends. So that was an important part of this. And then I also drew, maybe I didn't shuffle well because I also have the 4 of Swords.
Shut up.
Did you draw the 4 of Swords?
I draw the 4 of Wands.
Ooh. The 4 women.
Oh, the 4.
4 energy.
Right?
Mm-hmm. I like that deck. Tell me what it was called. The something and aura.
Amber.
Amber and aura. Ooh,
They
I like it.
They have Black Friday or Cyber Weekend sale right now. I was sending you the yeah. I love it. I love it. But yeah, like the 4 women, you know, fire, and she's inside.
She was almost wearing a wedding dress too, which is kind of like an unspoken theme of this whole thing.
But she's standing still, right? Look at her, standing still.
Remember? Don't you just want to stand still with me?
Poetic, so poetic. When all of the element, I feel like this not only represent the passion, but I feel like it can also represent the 4 elements. They're all in line, all at the all at the right moments, right? Which you know, in the traditional RWF, kind of like the celebration, you know,
right,
the wedding and everything, yeah.
So as per usual, the cards, you know, told us what we needed. what we needed to see.
Okay.
About this okay, so recap if you haven't seen this episode in a little while. It starts out with Big and Carrie are in their like super infatuated, always with each other, always smooching on each other on the streets of Manhattan. They're the only people in the city, and there's sort of a bros before hoes, sisters before misters theme where Carrie hasn't seen her friends for a little while. In the time that
she has become one of those women.
One of those women, yeah. Well, when she does the we don't have plans anyway, so I guess I could come hang out with you all there. Then she's like, you've become one of those women. Oh, yeah. So, what are kind of so then the subplots then are Samantha's let me back up. So they all go out and they're hanging out together. They're getting all caught up, and then they see Big on a date with another woman. And Carrie's like,
kind of date. That's what he said.
Sort of, yeah. He says this sort of.
Yeah.
It's I have a dinner thing. It's sort of a date. Yeah. Which is that whole thing too about and I have been Big several times in my life where I'm like, well, we never said we're not dating other people. Like, I get it. Like, I've been there, where it's like, I didn't think I was doing anything wrong. Like, but also like they were all like smoochy, ooey gooey all over each other and whatever. So like, I understand her perspective for sure. I would also be like, what the hell?
But for me, it's the shock of it. Like the shock, because if she never sees it, right? And she kind of believing that this is just a monogamous relationship, and then out of a left turn, Big will be like, I think I'm done because I find someone else. Because then you'll be like, what? You have been dating other people all along? So it's kind of like, it's a good thing that happened.
Right. Yeah. And that's something that's so Carrie and Big is the lack of communication. Because like Carrie's just so in her head all the time about like, oh, if he said that, like that thing when she's eating pasta with Miranda and she's like, well, if he said this, but then if it means that, and then but then I can never trust anything he's ever said. And I was just like, oh,
see, that was me. That was me in the universe last weekend. Right? Like, is that deer can mean something? If that deer doesn't mean anything, but that means everything that I believe before with the universe is all a lie. Wait, no, I have to rethink. Yes. That was me. The was the deer.
That was you. And I'm just Miranda over here like, maybe. I don't know. Did you draw any tarot cards about it yet? But yeah. So then subplots, Samantha is searching for a new apartment and she's seeing two realtors. And then the one specifically was like, don't use another broker. And she was like, okay, but she was. And then Charlotte said, Charlotte had subplot is a little different. We'll get to that one next because it doesn't go along with my theme. Well, it goes along with my theme of boundaries. But my theme of fidelity then is Miranda on the spaghetti date with Carrie. Good old Skipper comes walking by with another girl, and she's like, "Oh, wait a second. He's looking good. This ain't been working out." And that whole like, now that someone else has him, maybe I do kind of still want him a little bit.
So gross. So gross.
That part with Skipper, it's like it's the weirdest. It's sort of sweet, but it's also sort of the worst thing a person can do. You know the part I'm talking about? So Skipper and his lady are in the moment, and Miranda calls and is like, "Oh, it's so good to see you. I'd love to catch up. Let's go out sometime." He answers the phone while he's in Kibbity Dibbity, and then he breaks up with the girl that he's seeing because he thinks that he has a shot with Miranda while they are still, immediately. He hangs up and he's like, I'm sorry, this isn't going to work out.
Wrong.
Wow, that is not okay.
Not
but that's very Skipper. He's just very like puppy dog, honest, clueless. Just like, oh, my girl might want me. Oh, sorry, I gotta get rid of you.
It's so stupid. And then Charlotte doesn't have to choose. She doesn't have to she has to choose in a way.
It's a good choice,
more on a personal level to give head or not give head, basically.
Right. Because she's seeing a guy who's like, he's everything, he has the dog and he's nice and he's comes from a good family and all of the Charlotte things, but he wants her to go down and she doesn't want to do it. It's just not her thing. So that one I think is not really about fidelity, except for that thing that he says where he kind of threatens that he'll see other people.
Yep.
Or is it that he's going to break up with her? You can't really tell because she just breaks up with him. But
I think the subline, the underline is if you don't, it's more, I feel like it's more like a threat.
I think so too, that he's like, well, if you don't do it,
I will still take you.
Right.
When I need head, I will look somewhere else.
Right.
So if you can handle that, in being in a monogamous / not monogamous relationship, in a conditioned monogamous relationship.
Right. Monogam-ish, as Dan Savage would say. Monogam-ish.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're still my girlfriend, but when I have my need, I will go. Which I was in that relationship with a bisexual guy, right? I was like, he conditioned me in a way well, you don't have a vagina. When I need a vagina, I'm going to get a vagina. I could have been Charlotte and say, you would give up the perfect man. But that was the deal. But it is what it is. That was my kind of I should have stand up for myself, just like Charlotte.
Right. Yeah, I love that episode with her. I think it's great that she has a thing that she doesn't enjoy. She has a hard boundary on it. She's like, no, I just don't. And that's the only real instance in these 4 particular plot lines of just honesty. Just, not here. Because she's not at first. At first she's like, oh, another time, maybe. I don't know. Not tonight. And then she's like, okay, you know what? This is going to be a thing. You're not going to stop asking. So here it is. I don't like it. I don't want to do it. I've tried. I'm not going to do it with you either.
Communication and the funny thing about it is it's not really reading into things, because it's more self-talk, right? Or self-talk. What is my boundary? What do I believe? What is, what do I want to know? Just tell me straight. Just give me a reason. I can say yes or no. And it's the misreading, it's the miscommunication will lead to, because if Skipper doesn't read into that phone call,
right?
He
did. He read too much into it. No, Miranda led him on a little bit, I think, but so I can understand where he got, not in that moment, but later on when they slept together, and then she was like, oh, this is just for fun, and he's like, what? I'm in love with you. You know this. Why are we doing this again? Yeah.
Okay. I have my little note. I don't have much to talk about. We talked about Skipper and Miranda already. I feel like this episode is very poetic. If out of all season 1, well, we haven't watched everything in season 1 yet, but right now up to episode 7, I feel like this one, the writing on Carrie's part is one of the more poetic ones.
Right.
Like, is beautiful, is is concluded, is is
Mhm.
very structured, right? It's not so wishy-washy in a way that, and she's not answering like the unanswerable question, because she loved to she loved to
Right.
those unanswerable questions. I couldn't
Yeah.
help myself but wonder.
Right.
But this one is kind of like, if you actually continue what you wanted to do, to talk to the person, to kind of like solidify, you will be able to make the decision. Which
Hmm.
later on she has made all kind of mistakes. I don't know if it's a
Right.
mistake or not, but we
Right.
see that pattern.
Right. Yeah, because her official question was, in a city like New York, has monogamy become too much to expect, or something like that? Um, but that's not really what the episode is about. Like, yeah, it's about monogamy, but it's more about like, what do you want from another person? What does that person want from you? Are you willing to be honest about that? Or are you going to spin so many stories in your head about what different things may or may not mean? That's what I kind of felt like that was a lot of it.
Right? Because of that question, it's answerable. Yes, it's too much to expect. No, it's not
Mm-hmm.
too much to expect. And that really
Right.
depending on how you're gonna have that conversation, right? If
Mm-hmm.
and your expectation is all about boundary, right?
Mm-hmm.
Set your boundary, then your expectation can be either more or less.
Mm-hmm.
If your clear boundary is no head, then you're gonna have that expectation. It's gonna work out or not work out. If
Right.
you don't have that boundary and wishy-washy, then you'll be like, oh, if I give him a head, maybe, like, but I hate it. Like, it's just gonna be
Mm-hmm.
so big and so messy.
Right. Yeah. I thought that the way that it starts out is really, it's just bookended so beautifully with this idea of, in a city of 7 million people, and you feel like you're the only two people, and you just see like Carrie and Big just all ooey gooey, and then you kind of see it again at the end, but she's still reading into things because she says, I've been on the she's trying to be frank, right? She's like, I've been on the merry-go-round before, and I just want to stand still. Don't you just want to stand still with me? And he doesn't say yes. He says, you called me at whatever 2 a.m. to come meet you in a park to ask if I wanted to stand still with you. And then she just like leans into him and smiles, and like the voiceover says that they're together, and the camera pans up to the sky, and I'm like, Carrie, hold the phone. The man did not say yes, he wants to stand still with you.
Okay, Miranda, where's the contract?
Right. It's just like,
Well, and I think that's why I'm like a romantic, hopeless romantic right there. But the action of him,
pulling her close, right?
close and literally just stand there for a solid.
And they are standing still together, like physically, right?
Because in a way, if that happens to me, I'm gonna read into it, and B, I also not gonna read into it and actually say that no, that is kind of like an unspoken contract. If that's
Right.
you could have said that no, I am not standing still with you. Goodbye, and left. Right, but he actually actions speak. But of course, then we all have that like. But you never verbally say that I never verbally say that I want to stand still with you. I thought that you meant literally standing still, not going monogamous.
Right.
And you can all flip it around, turn it around.
Right. And that's the thing with Carrie too, that I find like watching this time versus when I watched these things the first time, I'm just like, oh, Carrie, like the constant like sarcasm, and you need to guess what I'm thinking, you should guess what I'm feeling, when she walks away, for like when they have that interaction at the restaurant, which of course she's upset. Like, I'm not expecting her to show up as her best self, but when she's like, she's stunning. Frankly, I was stunned. She stunned me, which I thought was so hilarious and wonderfully carried. I love that. But then when he's kind of like, are we okay? And she's like, yeah, whatever. And then when he calls, are we still on? Of course. Why wouldn't we be? You know, and it's like, you're kind of trying to do both things. Like, she's trying to be the cool girl who, oh yeah, it doesn't bother me, but she's also trying to be like, but it should bother you. Why are you like, just be one of those people. Or just say, I didn't like that. Like, I don't know what to do about it. Like, I saw you with her. I'm not saying that, I mean, we haven't had that conversation. I don't know what we want from each other, but I didn't like it.
Carrie is not a Taurus, that's for sure.
Well, that's for sure. Do we ever figure it out? I'm sure it's out there. I'm sure it's online. Their birth dates.
I have the book. I haven't. I'll read into it. I'll read into it. It feels like Carrie's more like a Virgo. Not a Capricorn. Not a Capricorn.
No.
Not Aquarius, because she does have moments that are very like linear, not like right. I don't think she's an Aries.
I could see Gemini.
Yep, Gemini.
Yeah, changeable, mutable, creative, communicative. Yep. I could kind of see Pisces a little.
Pisces too soft though, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, she's kind of soft underneath it all though. You know what I mean? Like,
true.
You see in the very first episode, she's like stubbing her cigarette out. She's like, love is dead. Meh. But then you see her and she's like, so I don't know. I've never felt like this, and I don't want to compare it to anything else because it's so amazing. And I'm like, okay, you're just like everybody else, sister. Like, when you're in the thick of the pink cloud, lovey-dovey beginnings of a relationship, you are just as romantic as anyone else. Maybe more so.
Yeah. What else? What other sign is air? Because if we lean into the air aspect of her,
Libra.
But she's not Libra.
Yeah. She loves to look pretty, though. She likes fashion a lot. But she's not as, yeah. I don't know.
Okay, so leaning into, we talk about Sex and the City, leaning into witchcraft or spirituality. Mm-hmm. How, for you, what is the equivalent of contract? Signing the contract, like you sign the deal with the devil, are you standing still with me? Like, or petition, because like, my Asian witch is telling me to write a petition with your favorite deity, kind of work out the detail, like what would you give, what would you take, booply bop, like, I petition this and that. Like, how is it more of the psychological aspect of the deal and the activeness of working that through, right? Casting the spell, getting the herb, doing the cleanse, so that working through the rhythm, the ritual, which is like physically doing things, which will kind of do the vibration into from lower vibration go up higher, and then where you psychologically agree and things and say, sign the contract. Yes, this is going to happen. Mm-hmm. Is that how you perceive it?
I tend to think of witchcraft as energy, I think. So all the actions that you take, right? Like gathering the things, chanting, dancing, burning things, like whatever that is that you do. I think that you are creating or directing, not necessarily creating if we want to be super metaphysical, you're directing energy towards a goal, right? Like, so if I want to make pasta, I have to boil water, which is putting the literal heat energy, right? I have to have this container that holds everything together, kind of like a sacred circle or sacred space or whatever. I've got the water, which is a way that that it can transfer. And then I've got the noodles, and that has to have a certain amount of time to have the the interaction that I want. And so I feel like witchcraft is kind of like that. Like I'm directing energy in a controlled space towards a certain aim or goal. Now, when we add other beings, the divine, whatever, into the mix, then I think it kind of depends on how you do it. I have been moving more and more towards a more open and trusting relationship with divinity, and less of like my Santa Claus wish list. Okay, gods, I want this, and I want this, and I want this, and I want this. No, burn this piece of paper and make it happen. Now I'm more trusting, and I work with deities I trust, but I'm like, okay, I want this, or help me handle this, or I'll sometimes leave like some openness for like when I pray now, I say like someone's highest good instead of saying like for him to be cured of cancer. I just say their name and like may the best thing happen for this person. So now that's not to say that my practice has always been that way. I've definitely done things where I've done like a contract. I've said I'll once this happens, I'll do such and such blessed offering or whatever. Which I find kind of transactional, and to me doesn't feel the way that I want to feel when I worship. But again, my relationship is a little bit more of an adoration now, and I'm doing like less of making my will manifest and more of like helping me to channel what the gods want me to do out in the world.
Which is where I think, as the baby witch. Maybe I'm not a baby witch. Who knows? Maybe a teenage witch. Oh, a teenage witch.
Like Sabrina.
Thank you. But in a way that's where I'm kind of stuck. In a way, I'm like, I hate the idea of the contract, right? I am doing this so that I cultivate a higher vibration, because by cultivating a higher vibration, I attract higher stuff to me, which will avoid the lower stuff. Like it's all kind of like, I must do this, right? Like, or I'm trying so hard to avoid the lower vibration because shit is gonna come lurking behind my back, right? It's so, and I'm so exhausted of that idea, in a way that sometimes I just want to be like, and I feel like so, but then where is the fine line of like, of course I can sleep and rest for the rest 6 months, like my relationship trauma, and just kind of into that like, I can't, right? Where is the fine line to actually kickstart and move along? And that's when you have sister switches you out like this.
Yeah. I mean, that's why we need each other, like that's why you ask these questions. And then like, I can just say from my experience with my divorce, I took some time away from spiritual things. Like I did the bare minimum. I was in 2 covens at the time. And so I would like show up when I had to, and I kind of like faked it and whatever. But like my own personal relationship with the divine was not really there, and my own like spiritual practices weren't really there. And I don't think it made me feel better to avoid it, because it was from where it's like, where is it coming from? So like for me, it was coming from this place of I failed in my marriage, which means I break vows that I take. It means that I promised to love someone no matter what, and I didn't. It means, I had all these judgments about myself. And so I was like, I'm not good enough to do my podcast, because who wants to listen to a witch who's like that? It was all coming from this place of like shame and guilt and whatever. If it was coming from a place of, that doesn't feel good, I don't want to do this because I need a break, I need to just relax or whatever, that's different. So I feel like some of what you might be thinking about is like the motivation.
Mm-hmm.
Like if it's motivated by fear.
Yeah.
Versus being motivated by wanting to open yourself up to something new and different.
Yeah.
And a new way of perceiving things.
And which is so annoying because what I have been doing is opening up myself to spirituality, to the unknown, into the unknown, into the unknown, into the unknown. Thank
That
you.
is such a witchy thing, by the way. All of that is so
right. So like I've been opening myself up, and then yet, and that's where the turn of the threshold for me. I feel like for everybody else in a way, like how, why do you send the deer? Like literally destroy every good thing that I planned to, for this Thanksgiving. I was gonna bring my mother to Chicago and we have a great time, and it's just like boom, stop.
What if we could just trust that needed to happen?
Yeah.
Like I'm not saying it did, because we can't know that. We can't know that.
Mm-hmm.
But what if that this is a big what if. But what if something horrible was going to happen on that Thanksgiving and that deer was the universe's sacrifice and stopped you?
Right.
Like people who like got a flat tire on their way to work on 9/11 or whatever.
Yep. And that's the thing. Like, why?
So what if it was the universe looking out for you and not the universe punishing you?
Exactly. And that's where I think that's where the threshold is turning for me. Is like, no, you have to surrender. You have to surrender. Don't put meanings on it. Just don't. It just happened. Your life is here. So take care of yourself. Thank the universe that you be alive. Don't ask the universe why the deer.
Right.
Because you can ask 10 million times, and then if if the universe is angry, you really want to know what happened, why I sent the deer, this is why, and then I die.
Right.
Or something.
And here's the thing too, is it's all about narrative. Like if we take all the spirituality out of it, like let's just pretend there's no such thing. Like God's fake, tarot's just paper. Let's just look at hard facts. Hard fact is the way that you are reacting to a situation is the reality of the situation. So if your car gets hit by a deer and it makes you spin out, not like the car, but it makes you spin out too, then it was a negative thing. If the deer hit the car made you think like, wow, thank you, dear angel, for I'm sure, like, what if that's not true? But you feel better and you do better things in the world, right? If you think that the universe is being generous and loving and has your back, then you're willing to be generous, loving, and have other people's backs too.
And I'm creating that narrative and I'm creating that reality.
Right. Because that's just a story we tell ourselves, right? So I could tell myself a story about my divorce that I was a bad person. I was this, I was that. Or the story I can tell myself is I loved someone very deeply who loved me deeply too. We grew apart and weren't able to find our way back to each other. We ended things with love and are pretty decent friends now. And now we're able to pursue the things that we want. So which story feels better to tell myself?
Yep. Lesson of today, ladies and gentlemen. I think Drew, is it Drew? Drew was the one that posted that puzzle, those Facebook puzzle, whatever the first 3 words is your reality. We talk about reality right now. Oh my God, guys. My 3 was lessons. Oh my God, you guys. Second one was power. Hello. And strength. Hello. I feel like my whole life has been crafting me to understand power and strength, but I never get the lesson. I feel like I'm still running around and repeating shit all over every time. And maybe that's why, like, now is the turning of the the new
Right.
dawn or whatever. And like I'm actually learning the lesson now that I am 22.
Right. I don't know about you, but I'm feeling 22. Thanks to Retin A and the Botox too.
I need to start getting Botox, girl.
I love it. You can tell, like now that mine's worn off, you can see my 11s now. I know.
Send me your doctor's information. I'll get
I
it.
will. I will.
Okay, look at the chat. Let's talk through the chat.
Yeah, let's talk and see what people have to say.
The internet said Carrie is a Libra.
I'm telling you, with the fashion, I can see it. The creativity, I can see it. The indecisiveness. I'm gonna think about it.
Yeah, I feel
And that's also a Venus sign, so
true. Very
love.
true.
Mm-hmm.
Drew said, I feel a contract is that when someone bases their action from their thoughts revolving around the terms of the contract. It's an exchange where ethic is what counts most. So the contract terms has to be actively considered before taking actions.
Yeah.
Ding,
Yeah.
ding,
Don't
ding.
be Ariel in The Little Mermaid signing a contract to an evil witch without reading the terms and conditions.
Sign the devil. He is the Lucifer. Hector said, maybe a stag is coming to your life, girl. You know what?
Bam!
I play a stag in The White Snake.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I was like, a stag and a deer is different, right? A deer is a female
Yeah. A stag is a male.
with the thing.
But I think they're similar species, but I think they might be different. But they have the antlers.
Yeah. Okay.
I feel like stag is like in Britain or something, not here.
Right? It's more magical.
Yeah. The stag.
I feel, Drew said, for me, I feel the most powerful thing to ask oneself is, why do I feel this way? What story am I telling myself to validate these feelings? Feelings are fluid and don't always make sense. And that's why we go to therapy. It is true, though. It is why we go to therapy, because that was one thing that I learned when I go through my traumatic experience with my ex-boyfriend was, what narrative do you want to lean into? For me, I always want to, because I'm an actor and I'm like, oh my God, right? I'm like, I want to be Romeo and Juliet. Oh,
right.
Yes. Oh, die, death, romance.
Right.
And then
well, because we attach this feeling that, like, if we don't feel that way, then the love wasn't real enough. If we're not destroyed, then it wasn't real enough of a love. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Or we want it like, no, this is what gonna, like, this is what we clinch the last bit of juice is the Romeo and Juliet like ending, right? And then he was like, what about like Taming of the Shrew? What about like any other comedy? What if this is actually a 12 Light? What if this is like a Midsummer Night's Dream? Like, you know, everything is just kind of
some shenanigans happen, but we all end up fine in the end.
Yeah, like, but why are you so hang on? You have to keep writing Romeo and Juliet. Can you kind of write it like, oh, Romeo actually woke up 5 seconds and didn't drink the thing? Or Juliet just kind of like woke up early and like stop, like, or Juliet cannot find the dagger. Right? Why do you keep on hanging on that little perspective therapy? Thank you, Doctor. Check.
Right.
Okay, our favorite part of the evening of the program.
Did I write mine down officially? Yes, I did. Here it comes. Cleanse, bless, and hex. I think I wrote down the same 3 that you have, probably because they're kind of the obvious ones in this one, but no, it could be different. It could be different because it could be different.
Okay, what do you have?
I have Michael. That's
Michael Conway.
Michael Conway.
Ugh.
I have Skipper, whose name I forget, last name, and then Big.
I have almost the same.
Right.
I have Michael Conway, but Skipper / Miranda.
Oh, okay. And then Jared, I forgot about Jared. The writer. Oh, that's good stuff.
Jared.
All right, so here we go. So my choices are Jared, Miranda, or Skipper.
Because I feel like Miranda and Skipper's. Yeah, Miranda or Skipper, if you have to choose. One of those.
Well, I like Miranda.
Okay.
So I'll say Skipper because that'll make it harder.
Okay.
So we'll say Michael,
Skipper,
Jared. Cleanse Jared. Bless Skipper. Hex Michael. Yep.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah, I think so. Thought process is, although Skipper he makes a very bad choice. But I'm putting myself as the Miranda of this situation, not the Allison of the situation. And so I'm like, oh, look what he did for me. So yeah, I'll bless that one. Hex Michael, not because of his request. His request is just a request. In my experience, it's different than Charlotte's, and that's different. It's the threat and the thing, especially when she says, the thing that does it for me is when she says, well, would you want me to do something I don't want to do? And he says, you'll get used to it. I was like, you'll get used to it? That's not the kind of experience I'm interested in. You'll get used to it?
So selfish.
Yeah, that's gross. And so then Jared, he would be a good cleanse. Little, he needs a little shake up his aura, remind him like where he comes from, not to get too high and mighty. Yeah. I'm final answer. I feel good about it.
Okay, what about?
I think it would be the same with Miranda because I love Miranda, actually. I think I would get along fabulously with Miranda. I'm not sure I could date Miranda because I kind of need a romancer a little bit more. But I would be very good friends with Miranda.
So. You are more Miranda. You are more like cut and dry on a lot of transaction. No,
sometimes.
You don't need to say that anymore. No. End of discussion. Thank you. No more. Yeah. Okay, what are my choices?
Your choices were Michael, Conway, and Skipper, but then we're throwing Big in the mix. So instead of Jared, it's Big for my list of 3.
I don't know. I feel like it's pretty much the same. For sure, I'm gonna hex Michael.
Yeah.
That's Michael for sure. That's just unnecessary. The ultimatum, any ultimatum is just no, thank you. Bless Skipper or cleanse Skipper? Cleanse. I think.
When we look at Big versus Skipper in this episode, Big seems more adult.
Let me do this one more time.
Self-assured? I don't know.
Well, in a way, I feel like it comes down to the blessing, right? The blessing is like, if I can really bless someone and like it will change him forever, then I feel like Big is a better match.
Yeah.
It's also sad to do cleanse Skipper because maybe one last where is it here? Maybe like one last cleanse he will get it. Like, no, you are worth more.
Yeah.
Like,
go find yourself an Allison. That was so sad. She seemed cool.
Right? Works for Vogue. My God.
Works for Vogue.
But yeah, I feel like, once I blessed the Big, maybe that's the hopeless romantic in me, right? That he'd just be changed. And
well, he is a romantic too.
Right? Because at the time I do feel like, which is subconsciously like bias when I lean into actions speak louder than words. But at the same time, in this episode, yes, he has the action. He was leaning into the I'm standing still with you
Right.
action-based action. But at the same time, and that's why maybe blessing him would be good, that he actually stay within the action
Right.
and not turn back on his words. Because he can turn back on his words.
I've never been with a lukewarm person. Like I find it exhausting to watch. I'm like, Carrie, just tell him what you want and ask him.
Exhausting.
Libra. I can't.
Libra.
My little Taurus heart is like, just get a pizza and ask him what's going on.
I don't know. My Aquarius rules my love life, I feel like.
Yeah.
So much emotion. If I can channel a little bit more Capricorn in it. It's like, but then I do have the action on Capricorn though, like the chasing, the like relentless, like, no, I can fix this relationship. This relationship can be fixed if I do this, if I do that. Yes, if I give him this, if I give him
Serious
that.
Saturnine, like, I'll handle this. All right, final thoughts?
Final thoughts is be open with communication with yourself.
I agree.
And with others, and with spirit, and with universe.
There we go. I think that there's definitely, for me, and this is because what's going on in my personal life, I think, with a friend and whatever, but like, I think for me, this episode, the lesson is on boundaries and on not being afraid to set yours, even if other people aren't happy with what those are, which is a type of communication, which is what's all. Yay!
Yay! I did it! We did it!
We did it! You feel good? I feel good.
I feel good. I feel like I'm tired. I'm physically tired. Tomorrow I have to go to a chiropractor. Oh dear. What happened to her? Whoopsie daisies. Stella Speak disappeared. Oh no. Well, I will keep on talking because if this goes on to the podcast, you need to know what happened. Stella's screen just went black and it's just like circle, circle, circle. She is texting me right now. My computer died. My computer died. Sorry. Tell the people we will be back soon. That is literally her text. So I'm not going to show you, but so follow her on. That's it right there. My computer died. Sorry. Tell the people we'll be back soon. That's what I'm going to do. We will be back soon. Thank you so much. Follow her on podcast Stella Speak. If you're listening, follow me, Mr. YM, on the Cusp Tarot on YouTube. Thank you so much for listening and watching. Remember to subscribe and turn on the notification bell. This sounds weird without her being here, but I'm sure that she's saying this in spirit. Blessed be, bitches. Bye.